I can't wait to do this WrestleMania because I can't wait to prove to people. I've been arguing with people for years that this is a good WrestleMania. If you overlook the Undertaker versus Giant Gonzalez and Hulk Hogan's crap victory and maybe the venue, this WrestleMania, every other thing is good to great. And I'm going to go over that in this review. If you don't believe me, stay with me in this review. I promise you, I will show you why. Anyway, I have to get that off my chest because I'm so sick of seeing WrestleMania 9 as one of the worst WrestleManias. Really? Well, we'll pick it apart. I'm Brett Mix with Macho Wrestling 101. Hit like and subscribe if you like the channel, and let's get going. Here we go. It's WrestleMania 9 from April 4th from Caesars Palace, 1993, in front of 16,891 fans. The first WrestleMania to be held outside, and they wouldn't do it again until WrestleMania 24, some 15 years later. Hulk Hogan's visibly damaged eye was explained in the story as a result of Ted DiBiase hiring a group of men to attack Hogan. In real life, the cause was to be from a jet ski accident. However, there's another rumor that Randy Savage believed that Elizabeth Hewlett had an affair with Hogan, and the couple divorced in 1992. So this is a year before their divorce, after the divorce. So people thought Randy Savage punched him out. So the jet ski is the most likely occurrence, in my opinion. This event was attended by 16,000 fans, as I said, but who paid a total of $1,100,000 in admission fees. This represents one-third less than the number of the fans from WrestleMania 8, which had an attendance of 62,000 fans. The pay-per-view drew a 2.3 buy rate, which was lower than the previous year's 2.8 buy rate for WrestleMania 8. It was higher, though, however, than the buy rates for any of the following 4 WrestleManias. So that means WrestleMania 9 had a better buy rate than WrestleMania 10, 11, and 12, and 13. It wouldn't be till WrestleMania 14 where the WWF got their pay-per-view buy rates higher than WrestleMania 9. And the WrestleMania 14 buy rate was bigger than any WrestleMania from 4 on. But this is WrestleMania 9, and the opening contest is between the Heartbreak Kid Shawn Michaels with Luna Vachon versus the undefeated Tatanka, the Intercontinental Champion, with Sensational Sherry for the IC title. So Sherry has left Shawn, and she's on the good side now. She's on the Tatanka's side. I'm going to call him Tatanka, like Bobby the Brain Heenan at commentary. By the way, this is Jim Ross's first pay-per-view he's commentated. Gorilla Monsoon is the spectator doing interviews, as is Mean Gene in togas, and really doing the Caesars Palace. They really did up the Caesars Palace gimmick. Macho Man Randy Savage was on commentary with Jim Ross and Bobby the Brain Heenan. And here we go. The match between HBK and Tatanka. This was a great match which featured a ton of psychology, a ton of strategic wrestling. Tatanka wanted to injure Shawn Michaels' back. In real life, Michaels would have back problems, so they really fit. Even the shoulder, Tatanka tried to beat him down. All of Tatanka's offense was aimed at Shawn Michaels' back or shoulder. Meanwhile, Michaels just bumped so well, especially back in his earlier in his career. He bumped so well. And the two put on a clinic here. This match actually went on 18-13, but it felt like a half an hour, but in a good way. It felt like they were telling it a great story. Tatanka was ruled the winner at 18-13, defeating Shawn Michaels by DQ. And of course, the result was a countout. The title could not switch hands. That was the cause. It was a disqualification based on a countout. I've never seen it called that way until this match, but that's how it was ruled. So maybe the faulty finish is why people rate this match lower, but the psychology was great. It was a great opener. Go back and watch it and just trust me, it's great. It's at least 3 stars. I give it 3 stars and a quarter. The pacing was exciting, the bumping was there, the psychology was there, everything was there in this match. Next, we have a great tag team match between the Steiner brothers and the Head Shrinkers. Samu and Fatu, which means Samu and Rikishi, against Rick and Scott Steiner. Scott Steiner was the MVP of this match. The Steiner's entrance theme, they were mega over with the crowd. Ross calls this a slobber knocker. I'm pretty sure it's the first time you hear that on commentary. Well, at least as Jim Ross is a regular commentator anyway. This is before his first and second firings by the WWF. This is his first run. Scott hot tagged Rick in a bad way after the head shrinkers isolated them in their corner. Samu got a shot by Scott Steiner as he fought back, and he poked back in the eye of Fatu. He was just gaining momentum, and the fans were chanting for Scott Steiner as he double teamed the head shrinkers Fatu. Steiner held him down on his knee, and Samu dropped a chop from the corner to get out of it. A knee drop by Fatu on the mat to Scott Steiner. Steiner was not only hurt, but he was being choked out in their wrong half of the ring, in the ring of the head shrinkers. Scott needed a big comeback in a big way. He crawled to Rick and got the tag, and the place pops. Rick backdropped Fatu and hit a hard running clothesline, a Steiner line, and Rick slammed both shrinkers together. Scott Steiner then got the tag. Samu reversed Irish whip Steiner, but the master belly-to-belly suplex. Fatu came in with a thrust kick to Scott Steiner, a power slam to Fatu by Scott Steiner, and then Fatu was Irish whipped to the side ropes, and Steiner came across with the Frankensteiner out of nowhere as Vegas pops. So in the end, the Steiner brothers put away the head shrinkers at 14:22 when Scott pinned Fatu after a desperation Frankensteiner. What a match. Scott Steiner, as I said, was clearly the MVP. He carried this thing, even though all four men did a good job. This match is a great tag team contest, full of athleticism, and it's one of the most underrated matches in WrestleMania history. I consider it 3.5 stars. So far, 2 superb matches, and the show was on a roll. So here you got a 3-star opener plus, and then you got a 3.5 star tag team match. What next? Well, next we have Doink the Clown vs. Crush. So that's not going to sound good on paper, but this is heel Doink. Everybody loves Matt Bourne, the original Doink. He's a great wrestler. And Crush was a decent power man, so let's see how they do. They worked a basic match. I'm not going to pretend this is great or anything. It was a decent match, but it was fun stuff if you enjoy heel Doink's tactics. The big story in the end, though, when Crush hit a spinning kick to Doink. Doink sat up and Crush then applied both claws to his head, a Crush squeeze. Another Doink hit Crush from behind with a cast. Heenan called it an illusion, but both Doinks worked over Crush when the ref was down. See, Heenan says this is one of the best tricks he's ever seen by Doink. And it was an awesome moment. In the end, Doink the Clown got the victory over Crush at 8:28 after the official got up with the cast beat down. This match is actually really good. Matt Bourne and Crush worked well together, and it was fun. I give that 2.5 stars, so it's passable. Next was Bob Backlund versus the bad guy Razor Ramon. Here is your first bad match of the night. And it's okay because it didn't last long. Like matches from WrestleMania 4 and 5, like they had Jake Roberts versus Andre the Giant, which lasted 9.5 minutes, or Jake Roberts versus Rick Rude, which lasted 15 minutes, and these weren't good matches. Sorry to say, Jake the Snake, he isn't the best WrestleMania performer. He usually has some duds. Even his match versus the Honky Tonk Man at WrestleMania 3 was kind of let down. But anyways, this match was a star between Hall and Backlund. It ended at 3:45 after a small package victory for Razor Ramon. So next we got so far we have 2 great matches, a decent to good match with Doink and Crush, and now a bad match with Razor and Backlund. I rated that a star. Alright, so now we get Money Inc., Ted DiBiase and IRS versus the Mega Maniacs, Brutus Beefcake and Hulk Hogan. So Hulk Hogan being as over as he was, because at this time he wasn't on TV every week. By 1993 he'd launched into movies, he wasn't on TV every week, so his appearance was a big deal. And all night long, the Mega Maniacs, what are they called? The Mega Maniacs were beaten down by IRS and Ted DiBiase, and so Hogan's hot tag was the most anticipated tag of the night. When he came in, the place went absolutely crazy. Hogan was worked on by DiBiase with a lot of rest holds, and as I said, when he came back into the ring, the crowd went nuts. Jimmy Hart puts on a referee shirt eventually and counts the 3 as Beefcake and Hogan got on top of Money Inc., but there's no official in there for the count, so Jimmy Hart went there. Both Mania Maniacs celebrate the 3 count from Jimmy Hart as if they had won, but another official runs to the ring and lets Hebner know what just transpired, and they take the belts away from the Mega Maniacs. So in the end, Money Inc. retained the titles after winning by DQ at 18:28 after interference. The longest match of the night, but it was another strong tag match on the card with a hot crowd. You would arguably the best face and heel of the 80s and 90s in the WWF, so that help matters. This match was well booked. This was Hogan's last Mania of the decade, but he wasn't done on the night. The ending to this was a nice touch with Hogan and Beefcake celebrating, giving the money to the crowd. So basically what happened is DiBiase knocked from behind IRS and Beefcake down, and with Beefcake DiBiase knocked both IRS and Beefcake down unintentionally, and the official went down with them. That's when Jimmy Hart put on the ref shirt and tried to count the 3, but then a real official ran in and disqualified them. I rate this match 2 stars and 3/4. It was a really good tag team match, 18.5 minutes, nothing to complain about. Next match so that's another decent match on the card. Next we got the Narcissist versus Mr. Perfect. And this is another good match, and if you think that I'm just being positive, this match here is what even people that hate the show say that this is a good match. So that's another good match. Narcissist versus Mr. Perfect. Unfortunately, this is the last good match of the night. The next 2 matches are what the show is known for, and if you finish on a bad note with 2 bad matches, the fans are going to think that that's what the WrestleMania was. And for a WrestleMania, maybe it's not the greatest event, but if you compare it to WrestleMania 4, 5, 2, 1, you get, and even 6 in parts, you get slow moments. And this WrestleMania didn't give you a match that dragged if it was bad. Perfect and Luger worked away on each other. Luger worked on Perfect's back a lot of the match because he had a bad back, and that's why he limped through his SummerSlam 91 match with Brett. Perfect was Ric Flair's manager in 1992 because Mr. Perfect was nursing a back injury. So that's why you always saw Mr. Perfect as a manager. But he came back in the ring, and Luger, just with his narcissist gimmick, loved to pose. He had all these women come in the ring with mirrors, and he would just hold rest holds on Perfect, and still Perfect got up and did his fast-paced offense. Luger goes for a back body drop, seeing as Hennig had a bad back, and he plods a desperation cradle inside and got a 2. Hennig sent Luger chest first into the turnbuckle. Luger catapulted into the corner and got knocked down. Perfect then hit an uppercut to Luger up on top. He was taking risks. Luger power locked him on the way down. Hennig with another high risk maneuver with a drop kick, but Luger got his foot on the rope at the last moment when he pinned him. Lex then blocked a sunset flip attempt with his foot on the ropes, and instead he slapped one on Perfect and got the 3, even though Hennig's leg was on the ropes. Luger then knocked Perfect hard with a hard forearm elbow shot to the head. So in the end, Luger went over Kurt Hennig at 10:56 after stealing the victory, after a ton of nice back work, but to Hennig, who had real issues with his back. A great match, though, seriously. I'm scratching my head now after all these great matches, how people say it's a bad show. Not only, this is what I said in my review 10 years ago, this part. Not only are these matches great, but they're lengthy if they're great, and if they're not great, they're short. And there's great psychology in most of them. So yeah, this was a solid match that told a great story, and you can't complain about this one at all. And this was a really good, if anything. I rated it 3 stars and a quarter. Next, we got The Undertaker with Paul Bearer versus Giant Gonzalez with Harpy Bibbleman. So this is one of the 2 things the event's remembered for, and unfortunately, this is the 7th match of the night of the 8. The 8th match and 7th match, well, technically 9 matches if you include the Hogan-Yokozuna match. The next 3 are not very well done, and that's why the event is looked at probably the way it is. No point in reviewing The Undertaker and Gonzalez. They didn't do much. They just hit each other and choked each other. And when I say hit each other, I mean The Undertaker just like the right hand, and Gonzalez with a big clubbing forearm on the way down. So, yeah, anyway, the end, The Undertaker defeated Giant Gonzalez at 7:33 by DQ and went 3-0 on WrestleMania in the process. Him coming out with the crow was really cool, though. Main event 1, match 8, Bret Hart versus Yokozuna. Yokozuna won the Rumble, the first person to win the Rumble to go to WrestleMania for a title shot. Hart worked a good big man match with Yoko, who was agile, and they had good chemistry. Fuji then threw sand in the face of Bret Hart after he applied the sharpshooter on Yokozuna, and Heenan said, "Oh, another illusion," which was funny. Yokozuna hooks the leg resourcefully. In the end, Yokozuna beats Bret Hart for the WWF title at 8:55 after sand was thrown into his face, blinding him. We had a new WWF champion, and the fans hated it. I rated that match 2 stars. But we get a second main event, number 9. Savage, Ross, and Heenan were all trying to put these pieces together. A lot of chaos was taking place inside of the ring with the officials. So Hulk came out, and Bret gave him his permission to go and challenge Yokozuna on the script, but in real life he was saying, "That's my belt, Hulk. This is supposed to be my time." I think we all knew that, and I think we all felt that way. Not a part-time Hogan who was getting really stale, which is why his heel turn worked wonders in WCW. In the end, Hogan put Yokozuna away at 21 seconds with a slam and a leg drop. Caesar's Palace went wild for the good ending, but in the real life, as fans, we all know this was bullshit. I gave it a 1/4 of a star just because the fans went home happy, I guess. The final rating for WrestleMania, I gave this a 7 out of 10. I think I'm being maybe even too harsh for it. Maybe it deserves a 7.5 or an 8, but I'll give it a 7.5 out of 10 because it didn't finish strong, and that's important for WrestleMania. But I just hope I hope I've explained why I figure this WrestleMania isn't that bad. And if you go back and watch it with what I've said, you can recognize yourself that it's actually an underrated WrestleMania. Not great, just good in parts. And that's better than a lot of earlier WrestleManias can say for themselves. Anyway, this is WrestleMania 9. We'll see you for WrestleMania 10, where there's a couple of classics I can't wait to get into. I hope you're enjoying these reviews. I am too. Hit like and subscribe if you are. And we'll see you on the next one. For Brett Mix, this is Macho Wrestling 101, and I'm out.